Hi guys, it's me ChazzaHD and welcome today to qualifying day for the 2022 Monaco Grand Prix. And of course, first up today, it is practice 3 here in Monaco. Of course, we'll be getting underway, as you can see on your screen, in 14 minutes time, or just over 14 minutes time. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you are excited for probably the most important qualifying session of any Formula 1 season. And it's definitely going to be an exciting day, as qualifying day in Monaco normally is. I can't remember it ever being a boring day in Monaco. So yeah, can't wait to see what happens in practice 3. And also, of course, qualifying later. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully, no matter what time it is in your part of the world, no matter where you're from, hopefully you're having the best day you could possibly be having. Now, this is going to be a very... not crazy build up to practice 3, but there's a lot to talk about. Let me put it that way. So we'll just quickly get into the results of the last practice session, which was practice 2, which was yesterday afternoon. So let me get into that now. So Charles Leclerc was in P1. He was in P1 for both practice 1 and practice 2, looking very good. Is Leclerc his home Grand Prix, and so Ferrari, as Carlos Sainz finished in 2nd, and then it was Perez 3rd, Verstappen 4th, and then Norris 5th, Russell 6th, Gasly 7th, Alonso 8th, Vettel 9th, and Tsunoda 10th. From 5th really down to like 15th, 16th. It is a very close and exciting field, I have to say. And then the bottom half of the order, you have Magnussen, Hamilton, Bottas, Albon, Zhou, Stroll, and then Schumacher, Ocon, Latifi, and Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, Ricciardo only did 2 laps and didn't do a lap time because he crashed in the swimming pool section yesterday in practice 2. Hopefully his car will be fine for today. But I'll now go on to these pictures, which will take you through the session today. These are the pictures from practice 2 yesterday. So yeah, that'll be what will be helping you take you through the session. Now, 12 minutes to go until we get going. There are a couple news stories that I need to get into before we get going. So, let me just find the first one quickly. Here we go. Let me just get it. There you go. And I'll just quickly get my display capture up. There you go. Here we go. This is, again, from Tammy, who, she translates articles and she's absolutely fantastic at what she does. Here is an article from Auto, Motor and Sport, one of the best, probably the best publication when it comes to Formula 1. And they say, in one of their new stories, the F1 bosses are working on the 24 race calendar for next year. At the moment, it's coming down to 24 races. France and Belgium are on the exit list. Before you go mental, let me read the actual article itself, which I'll do in a moment. Because, yeah, you guys will be interested to hear what the article says itself. And then Qatar, Las Vegas, and possibly South Africa are also on the entry list. There are also talks with Kyalami next week. And then there's here, Monaco is in danger of losing the Grand Prix. Talks ongoing. And it says that the Belgian Grand Prix will not get removed from the calendar completely. The Spa organisers could share a race with another country and hold a Grand Prix every 2 years. Portimao, which is the Portuguese Grand Prix track that we had last year and in 2020, could also participate in the rotation system. And you can see some of the comments here talking about, how can they get rid of Spa? Just, yeah, incredible. Just checking that it is working. My screen share. Now let me go to the actual article itself. And here we go. So, this is the article. It says, Formula 1 bosses are already working on the racing calendar for 2023. At the moment, it is amounting to 24 races. France and Belgium on the hit list. Qatar, Las Vegas, and possibly South Africa will be added. Talks to Kyalami next week. The government wants to show that the country is again attractive to tourists after the coronavirus shock. Monaco is on the brink. China's return depends on the country's COVID policy. Belgium should not be completely off the calendar, the Spa organisers could share a race with another country and hold a Grand Prix every 2 years. That would justify the high entry fee. In Portimao, they think the same way. Portugal could participate in the rotation system. Let's see if there's anything else here. And then, yeah, when it comes to Monaco, there's a poll here, and you can see quite clearly people thinking Monaco should be on the calendar. But, yeah, this is quite incredible. The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps is on the hit list for possibly, one, not being on the calendar every year, but just it being on the exit list. Just it being considered to be on the exit list is disgraceful. Spa is probably the best racetrack on the planet. The only tracks I can think of that could rival it are, Silverstone, or, Suzuka, and maybe a couple others that aren't on the calendar, or that haven't been on the calendar for a while. How could you possibly want to get rid of it? But again, it has everything to do with money. That's what it has to do with. It's because they don't want to have to, I think the fee for Spa is quite expensive, I believe. And again, it's all about money. It's not about whether it's the best thing for Formula One and the best thing for the fans. No, it's about money. Absolutely disgraceful. They have to work out something here that Spa, to the point where Spa is on the calendar every year. We cannot have the Belgian Grand Prix be a once every 2 years type of race. It's not a once every 2 years type of race. It should be on the calendar every single season. Full stop. It's been on the F1 calendar since 1950, I think. Or, since definitely the early 50s. It's one of the oldest racetracks in the world. Definitely in Europe. How could you possibly want or even consider to get rid of it? Absolutely disgraceful. I mean, the French Grand Prix, I think there should be a race with in France in F1, especially considering the amount of influence and, drivers from France. Obviously, you have a French team in Alpine. I think there should be a French Grand Prix. I just don't think it should be at Paul Ricard. I would personally go back to Monaco because I think with DRS, I think that track would probably become a better track for racing. And also, forget racing, that Monaco track is in certain places is a very nice track. It's got some very nice fast corners, and it's definitely a nice track in certain places of the track. But I just can't believe that I'm reading this. Belgium possibly on the exit list. I'm sorry, that is an absolute disgrace. Let me know, guys, what you think in the chat, because that is just, yeah. When I saw that, and I only saw that a few minutes ago, I was amazed. I was like, this has to be a joke. Also, I just need to read out this as well. Let me just display this article as well. This is an article from Autosport that only came out about half an hour or just over half an hour ago. Ferrari has admitted they have no chance of staying below the current F1 $140 million budget cap. So let me get into this article. A dramatic rise in inflation and freight costs this year has put the team budgets under pressure, and a number of squads are concerned that they are going to be unable to stay below the $140 million limit for 2022. Christian Horner suggested the scale of the problem was serious enough for teams to miss races. Discussions have taken place with the F1 and the FIA to try and come to some form of agreement to lift the budget cap limits, but not all the teams are in favour. Speaking ahead of the Monaco Grand Prix, Bonotto, the team principal of Ferrari, said that if the budget cap remains fixed at its current level, then his team would have no option but to bust it, or burst it, I guess you could say. He reckoned Ferrari would then fall into the remit of what is known as a minor breach of the rule, so within 5% of the limit, which there is no fixed penalty. F1's rulebook states that minor breaches can include a public reprimand, loss of drivers and constructors' points, suspension from events, or a reduction in aero testing or future cost cap limits. Asked by Autosport what will happen if the budget cap is not increased, Bonotto said, I think there will be no way for us to stay below, so I'm pretty sure at some stage we will go over. In the regulations, there is a threshold which is 5%, and if you do not exceed the 5% on top of the budget cap, what the budget cap threshold is, it could be considered a minor breach. How will they decide that on that in terms of penalty? I have no idea. I don't think there is any way for us or for many teams to stay within, and even laying off people, I don't think that's the right choice. And then he goes on to say, it's already summertime and the benefit is not sufficient to cope with the excessive prices and costs, so what will be the implications? What will be the most important is many teams will breach it, and I think that will be simply bad for the financial regulations. If we're breaching the financial regulations, then I think we will start debating if the financial regulations are working, and it will put everything back in discussion. So there you go. So Ferrari saying that if the budget cap stays as it is, then they'll have to go over it, which obviously not good for them, and also not good for the for the cost cap in general. It's not good, but because obviously we covered this a few days ago. We covered the teams were demanding an inflation surcharge because of rising inflation around the world, and then we've still got about 3, I think maybe 4 teams that are currently against it. Having a rise of the budget cap to adjust for inflation. And to be honest, I do agree with, I think, was it Otmar Safnauer, the Alpine team principal, that there shouldn't be an increase in the budget cap, and that the teams who haven't adjusted their budgets beforehand, before 2022 to 2022, to factor in inflation, which, again, I've said this before, everyone knew we'd be getting inflation this year because of what's happened in the last couple of years worldwide with COVID and all of that stuff. Especially in this country, we've all knew that inflation was coming, and of course, a lot of the F1 teams are based in the UK. He simply said, should have made the correct adjustments, and simply, just don't spend as much if you think you're going to go over it, which I think is the absolute right stance to take. And I hope, again, and I have to repeat this, I do hope that the FIA and F1 in general, I hope they do not increase it, because at the end of the day, again, the teams that are suffering should have factored in inflation, and if they have to lay off people, for the people that's getting laid off, that will be very, very sad. It will be. Obviously, losing your job is a very bad thing, but companies who spend too much and, go overboard with how much they spend, I think in general should not be just allowed to get away with it without there being consequences for the company themselves. So if they have to lay off people from a company perspective, then that should be, unfortunately, a consequence, because that's how the real world works. So I don't think they should adjust the budget cap. And again, like I said, it will be sad if some people have to lose their jobs from certain teams, but it's not their fault. It's the teams' fault, and they need to, admit, rather than saying, well, the F1 should have adjusted for inflation, they should rather just be like, well, we should have, factored it in and adjusted for it. Obviously, it's never their fault. It's always F1's fault, never the team's fault. Anyway, the session, practice 3, will be underway very, very soon, probably in the next few seconds or so. So get ready for that, guys. And yeah, let me know what you thought of the news I just got into, that possibly Spa is on the exit list for leaving the calendar, or even only being on the calendar once every 2 years as a rotation race. Let me know what you think of that in the live chat and the comments, and also let me know what you think of the whole budget cap situation now, where Ferrari are saying if it stays where it is, then Ferrari will go over it. Let me know what you think about that. And I think another key thing to think of is, in terms of the budget cap, is they've got to show the teams that they will not be able to get away with lobbying the FIA and the people running F1, Liberty, to be able to raise the budget cap through coming up with, multiple reasons and sometimes excuses as to why it needs to be raised. They need to show that if you go over it, that's the set limit, $140 million, and if you go over it, then there will be some sort of punishment. They've got to show that. They cannot afford to raise it and then give in to the teams, because then it'll happen again and again and again, and then eventually the budget cap will probably go up to like 160, 170 million. And then, then the budget cap, it's failed if that's the case. Anyway, the session has started. I'll get the timer synced up in about 20 seconds from now. We're currently looking at a Williams, I think, of Alex Albon, and a Haas car. And it's actually Nicholas Latifi, I believe, in the Williams. And 3, 2, 1. And there you go. So 59 minutes to go in practice 3. Of course, the running order to the left-hand side is just the template I have. I'll adjust it as the session goes on. Dylan Forrestal in chat. Good to see you. Hopefully you're coping well and doing okay after what you said yesterday. He says Spa and Monaco have to stay. Get rid of France, and we really shouldn't be racing in China. I mean, yeah, we shouldn't be, but money, 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 money. That's the reason. Money rules the world, especially when you have big time capitalists now running F1, which is what Liberty are. They're die-hard capitalist type people, and obviously money is the aim of the game. Yeah, I mean, people could criticize Bernie, for example, but Bernie would not even have dreamt of taking Monaco or Spa off the calendar. He would have fought anyone who would have tried to the absolute bitter end. Unfortunately, we don't have anyone at Liberty willing to fight that battle. Not even Ross Brawn. I wonder if they asked Ross Brawn, what do you think of getting rid of Spa from the calendar or making it a rotational race? I'd love to see him squirm with that type of question, because I'm sure he'd have to squirm. As currently, just looking at Kevin Magnussen's on board, we've only got about 3-4 cars on track, 5 cars on track, so nothing too major going on at the minute. We're just looking at Magnussen doing kind of a warm-up lap on the medium compound tyre. The temperatures, by the way, are pretty much as hot as yesterday. A bit more cloud cover, but it's still pretty much, like I said, as hot as yesterday. As Magnussen comes back in to the pits. And now we're looking at Sebastian Vettel, who is also coming back into the pits. So the only cars we've had on track so far are Latifi, Magnussen, Vettel, Schumacher, Stroll, and I think maybe Alonso as well. The only cars we've had on track. As just doing a practice pit stop there with Sebastian Vettel as he goes from medium to hard. But the big boys still in the pits, and we'll see what they do when they eventually come out on track. Elamaine Wade, thank you for the live. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much for that. No problem. Yeah, hopefully we get some faster cars out there. Talking of some faster cars, here is Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. Fernando has won this race twice before, in 2006 and 2007. His last podium in Monaco was 2012, exactly 10 years ago. And I think since 2014, he's only had 3 points finishes around here, which was pretty much down to the cars he's been driving, but it shows you that he's not had much luck around Monaco since 2014, since the beginning of the hybrid era, as Alonso begins a timed lap. And I think, put Latifi up in first place, because I think he has actually set a lap time. So let me just update that. The Latifi up to first. You'll never see that again. And he's the only man with a time on the board, as Fernando Alonso did a purple first sector and was 1.1 seconds quicker than Latifi in the first sector alone. And yeah, Alonso was pretty good yesterday, 8th in practice too. And so he was, certainly showing some decent speed, considering the Alpine, I don't think, is going to be one of the stronger midfield cars this weekend. And yeah, looking very good here is Fernando. Comes through Raskas into Anthony Nogues. And yeah, the Alpine in the hands of Nando, looking nice. And there you go, Fernando Alonso goes P1 by 3.5 seconds or so. As now we're looking at a McLaren on the TV of Lando Norris, I believe. No, it's Daniel Ricciardo, who is starting a lap. Of course, in this session, he'll want to get in as much running as he can. And hopefully this time, no accidents for the Australian. And he is on the soft compound tyre as he comes to the first sector. And it's a 10th down on Fernando. But really, it's the second and third sector that we saw yesterday in practice, where the McLaren really started to do its work, as Ricciardo comes through into the tunnel. And now down to the Nouvelle chicane. And the lap looks absolutely fine so far from Ricciardo. And now we've cut back to look at the Alfa Romeos for some reason. Don't know why we're now looking at the Alfa Romeos, but Daniel Ricciardo is only a quarter of a second down on Fernando Alonso after his lap so far. So Ricciardo probably going to go into second place with this lap. And Ricciardo, he'll come to the line. And Ricciardo, goes second by 0.4 of a second. He is off Fernando Alonso. By the way, remember, Alonso just did a 15.8, Ricciardo a 16.2. That is miles away from the lap times they did yesterday, and also the best lap times of yesterday. The best lap time yesterday was a 1 minute 12.6 from Leclerc, and I think Alonso probably did like a 13.6, 13.7 yesterday. So Alonso can go a lot quicker than that, and everybody can. They're just getting up to speed and, trying to get a feel for how the track is, as they're just quickly showing a Ferrari on its outlap. Don't quite know while we're looking at this, because I'd like to be looking at Valtteri Bottas, who's 1/10.5 quicker than Alonso in the first sector. And now we're looking at an Alpine again of Alonso, who looks like he's pushing on another lap. And it's in a purple sector 1 and sector 2 as Fernando. And let's see what kind of lap time this is as he comes to the line. And it's a 1 minute 14.7. So he improves his lap time by a second, but still could go, or should be going, at least another second quicker in his Alpine. As Bottas, about half a second behind, had a bit of a poor run there through the exit of the swimming pool. So not a great lap here for Valtteri, but this will put him into second place as he comes to the line. And second, and he is 1.1 seconds off the pace. now, on a lap, we have, Zhou Guanyu has now just gone up to 5th place, I believe it was. No, it was 4th place, actually. There you go. That's better. Only 5 times on the board, but we're going to get it plenty in a moment because Carlos Sainz is on his first time lap of practice 3. I say that though, but he's not pushing at all. This is just a warm-up lap for Carlos on the soft compound tyre. And yeah, well, hopefully he'll build up and do a proper lap. But yeah, the only people on track right now who could set their first lap time of the day is Sainz and Leclerc, who technically are on a lap, but they're both very slow laps. They're not really proper, lap times they're going to be doing. Yuki Tsunoda, though, is on an out lap, so we'll look out for him also because Tsunoda was very quick yesterday in practice, was 10th in practice too, and AlphaTauri were very quick in practice as well, so yeah, I'm sure that they'll keep it up today. I don't see a reason why AlphaTauri will drop off the pace, really, because the conditions are the same, as Leclerc is coming into Rascasse now. Hopefully, we'll start a lap, and we've now cut back on the TV broadcast Carlos Sainz, who has now finally started a flying lap of his own in a purple first sector as he's now into the Nouvelle chicane, and yeah, gets to the chicane perfectly. Now into Tabac, which is a very daring corner. Now into the swimming pool. The Ferrari looks incredibly comfortable through the swimming pool section. Not moving about really at all. And then into the final sector where the Ferrari is probably at its best. And he will now come to the line, Carlos Sainz, and easily go P1 by 6.5 tenths of a second onto a 1:14.1. But yeah, the Ferraris can go probably a second and a half, quicker in this session. As Ricciardo goes up to 3rd, and we wait to see what Charles Leclerc's about to do with his lap, as he's currently on a lap. He's currently a 10th of a second up on Carlos Sainz in the middle sector. Sorry, it's in a purple middle sector. So we'll see what he does as he now comes out of the final corner, and Charles Leclerc should go P1, and he does by a 10th of a second onto a 1:14.0. So Leclerc up to 1st. Guanyu Zhou was Zhou Guanyu, was 4th. Now it's Valtteri Bottas. Is Max Verstappen now, I think, is jumping the exit of the swimming pool section, going down the slight little escape road. And yeah, I've got all the times, or not all the times, but all the positions correct on your left-hand side. Only 8 times on the board at the moment, as Max Verstappen starts his first flying lap in practice 3. Obviously, in 2018, he, on the exit of the swimming pool, put it in the wall and cost himself a chance at what was probably, at worst, 2nd, but because of Ricciardo's engine problem in the race, probably a guaranteed race win for Max Verstappen. Hopefully, the same does not occur today. I'm sure he's learnt his lesson. As Verstappen now into the tunnel, he's not done a purple first sector. We saw in practice yesterday, the best sector for the Red Bull was the middle sector, as Sergio Perez has completed his first timed run and has gone 3rd, as Verstappen 4 tenths off Leclerc after the first 2 sectors, as Gasly goes 9th for AlphaTauri, and Verstappen, I will say, Not a great lap for Max. The car doesn't seem to be handling that great as, he finishes his lap and he's about 4.5 tenths off Leclerc in third place and only slightly ahead of his teammate, Sergio Perez. So Verstappen third, Perez fourth, and Alonso is in fifth place. Lando Norris just went up to sixth, and then it's Tsunoda in seventh, Bottas eighth, Zhou ninth, and then Schumacher is in 10th position, and they've now got to an ad break, which, great timing. But, the 13 times on the board, or the 13 drivers we've had so far set a lap time, it's Leclerc in P1 currently, with Carlos Sainz in second, and then Max Verstappen third, Sergio Perez in fourth, Fernando Alonso fifth, Lando Norris sixth, Yuki Tsunoda seventh, Bottas eighth, Zhou ninth, Schumacher 10th, and then your last three drivers to set a time, Ricciardo, Gasly, and Latifi. So those are the drivers so far who have done a lap time. Dylan Forrestal, if we do get a wet race tomorrow, do you think Charles will continue the Monaco curse? I mean, if you're going to have an accident in Monaco, it is, of course, going to be a lot more likely in the wet. But I think I said this yesterday in my qualifying preview, that it's more likely to happen, that type of situation. It's more likely to happen if he's not on pole position, because he'll feel the need to push harder. And I think with Leclerc, I think when he makes mistakes is when he starts to push too hard. I think sometimes he overdrives, I guess you could say. I think that's the problem with him. I think he gets, so aggressive to the point where he's trying so many different lines on a track and so many different ways that he just inevitably ends up making a mistake. But if it does rain tomorrow, then if he's on pole, I think he is good enough to hold on for victory to the very end. But like I said, if he's not on pole, then I think a mistake is more likely, because he'll have to push harder. Because Ferrari, like I was saying in the build-up to this Grand Prix and in my previews, Ferrari have to get pole and have to win this Grand Prix. There is no excuses for them this weekend. They've got to win. As we're currently on an ad break still. Give it another, minute or so, and we'll probably be back from it. So if you do have any questions or comments in chat that you want me to read out, then make sure to post it, and I'll make sure to get to it when I can. And hopefully we get to see, when we come back from the ad break, hopefully Mercedes have come out on track and set some decent times, because they were probably, them and Alfa Romeo were probably the only teams that I thought were a bit disappointing yesterday in what they did. Hopefully we see some sort of improvement from the pair of those teams in practice 3, and of course qualifying later on. Give it another 30 seconds or so and they should come back from this ad break. But it's going to be hard, I think, for Red Bull, or the looks of it, really, to get properly close, I think, to the two Ferraris, because Ferrari do look very, very strong around here, I have to say. Saying that, they've come back from the ad break, and Max Verstappen is now second, and only 0.04 of a second slower than Charles Leclerc. So Verstappen up to second, Sainz third, Perez fourth, Norris fifth. He was fifth in both practice 1 and practice 2 yesterday. Looks as though he is keeping that up, as Lewis Hamilton is about to come to the line to complete his first run and goes 8th. Magnussen, by the way, is in 6th place. He's the next car up after the top 5. Let me just put him in position. And Magnussen in 6th, Alonso in 7th, and then Lewis Hamilton is in 8th place, with Bottas in 9th, Tsunoda 10th, and then Schumacher 11th, Zhou 12th. Russell has only gone 13th with his best run so far, which is surprising considering how quick he was yesterday, especially in practice 2. And then it's Gasly 14th, Ocon in 15th, and then Ricciardo 16th, Albon 17th, and then Stroll, Latifi, and Vettel is the rest of your order. It's Max Verstappen. He's done a purple first sector, but he's not improved the middle sector. But can he go quickest? Nope. He does go quicker, but only by like a few thousandths of a second, but he stays in 2nd place. As Lando Norris, by the way, in 5th, only half a second off the front-running pace. That's a pretty good lap time at the moment. But Charles Leclerc, currently in P1, is about to go even quicker as he's improved his 1st and 2nd sector. As Daniel Ricciardo now goes up to 7th place, and Charles Leclerc comes to the line and goes 0.2 of a second quicker and is now fastest on a 1:13.4. So there you go. Leclerc looking nice and quick. Just going to quickly, guys, mute my microphone just to blow my nose. There you go. That should be better. Sebastian Vettel has just improved up to 19th. 18th and 19th at the moment for Aston Martin, but they are on the medium compound tyres, and so are Williams. So obviously just trying to save tyres before qualifying later. But Pierre Gasly has now improved up to 6th place, which is about where he was yesterday in practice. And then Ricciardo is 7th. So your top 10 is currently, as we're about 22 minutes in the session, is Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Norris, Gasly, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Alonso, Hamilton. That is your top 10 at the moment, as Yuki Tsunoda is currently in 12th. He's just pitted. This is showing a replay of him locking up in the entry of the Nouvelle Chicane. He's set, by the way, Tsunoda, the exact same lap time as Valtteri Bottas, as Magnussen goes up to 7th, and we just saw him complete that lap. As Alex Albon goes up to 16th on the medium. And, yeah, no more times at the moment. But now we see Sergio Perez come into frame as Pierre Gasly improves, now up to 5th place. Sergio Perez has now done a purple middle sector, so has Max Verstappen. Let's see what these two do, and can they go into 1st and 2nd as Perez comes to the line, and yeah, Perez goes quickest. But I think Max Verstappen might just beat him here. Nope, he does not. He goes 1/10 of a second slower. So Sergio Perez is now quickest with Max Verstappen in 2nd. Perez quickest on a 13.2. That's only a couple tenths of a second slower than what they did in practice 2 yesterday. So they're pretty close now to their best times from yesterday, as Charles Leclerc is on another improved lap. He's currently now in 3rd. Can he go quickest? Nope. He goes 2nd and sets the exact same lap time as Sergio Perez. But because Perez said it first, Perez is 1st. Imagine if that happened in qualifying later. It could. Monaco is like that sometimes. as Lewis Hamilton is on another lap, currently in 10th place. He's improving on this lap. Let's see what he does. And Hamilton goes 8th. Still, the pace from the Mercedes is not looking good. It doesn't look to be anywhere near the level it was in Barcelona. Remember, in practice 3 last weekend in Spain, they were 2nd and 3rd in practice 3. Now they're currently 8th and 15th. And yeah, quite a bit slower than what they were a weekend ago. But Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc currently dead level on the same lap time. But Perez in P1. As here is Mr. Saturday, George Russell, who's on an improved lap. Hopefully improves him from 15th position. And comes to the line and goes 9th. As Russell. The two Mercedes at the moment about 1.2, 1.3 seconds off the pace of Perez and Leclerc up front, which is not good. That's pretty much the pace they were losing before their upgrade last weekend. And hopefully for Lewis Hamilton, the bumps that he was suffering from yesterday aren't as bad, but it looks as though from that shot we just saw of him going through the swimming pool section that it actually is still a bit of a problem. Plus, they are still struggling in the slow corners as we've got a yellow flag. Is Sector 1. I'm assuming a car has gone down the escape road at Turn 1. As we're looking at an Alpine here of Esteban Ocon. And yeah, Lance Stroll has just reversed out of the escape road and come back onto track. Thankfully, no cars coming. As hopefully Ocon can set a decent time here. He has been very, very poor this weekend. He was like 15th or 16th in practice 1, 17th in practice 2, and is currently in 17th place. And of course, last year, with that lap, he hasn't improved. But last year, he qualified, I think, 8th and finished in 9th. The Monaco Grand Prix. So I don't quite understand why Esteban Ocon has been so slow this weekend. But is a replay, yes. Stroll locking his his inside front quite badly 2 or 3 times. Thankfully, did not go to the barriers. As a bit of a lull on track at the moment. Charles Leclerc is on an outlap for Ferrari. So we'll see what he does in a moment. But, yeah, the front 4 are on track, but I'm not sure any of them are on a proper quick run. Probably Charles Leclerc is about to go for a quick run. And, yeah, he is. Charles Leclerc begins his lap over to DRS on the pit straight. And let's see if Leclerc can go any quicker than Perez. All he needs is an extra 1,000th of a second, and he'll be able to get P1. So we're about halfway through the session now. As Leclerc exits the Casino Square. Now down into Mirabeau, and he's half a tenth up on Perez after the first sector. And Leclerc exits the Lowe's hairpin, looks very good through there. And the Ferrari, definitely in the slow corners, looks very, very good. Easily the best car on the grid in the slower corners. As Russell in the Mercedes goes up to 7th place and puts himself only 0.8 of a second away from the front runners. As Mick Schumacher is up to 10th, and Charles Leclerc, another purple sector 2. He's 0.3 of a second up on Sergio Perez, so he should go P1 quite easily with this lap. As Sebastian Vettel up to 16th, I can see down there. And yet, by 0.4 of a second, Charles Leclerc goes quickest on a 1:12.8, which is about 0.2 of a second slower than his best time from all of yesterday. So he's pretty close to his absolute best, as Max Verstappen has done a purple first sector. Let's see what Max can do here. Into the back he goes. Looks very good. Middle sector, he's not improved on his best middle sector, so he's a 10th off, losing the rear end slightly on the exit swimming pool. And now through Raskas and Anthony Nogues, and Max Verstappen should go second. And he does. Oh no, he doesn't. He stays third. And is only now 0.02 of a second slower than his teammate Sergio Perez. As Russell says, ride is poor. Not good news if you are a Mercedes fan to be hearing about the ride of that car, considering the problems they've had with the ride of their car. But quickly, I'm just going to blow my nose again, and then we'll get to the next bits of this session. So, which is currently looking at a Mercedes on the TV broadcast. And it's Lewis Hamilton, I believe, who's just getting out of the way there of the Red Bull. And, yeah, Mercedes not looking good right now. Their pace, compared to the front runners, is alarmingly slow, I have to say. So, even though car improvements have been made, you know, their high-speed deficit, they're not losing there anymore. In the fast corners, or the medium-speed corners, they're not losing as much as they, I think, were previously, but still, they are suffering from some bouncing and just general riding, you know, ride problems. And also, their speed in the slow corners is still nowhere near where it needs to be. As we're now looking at a Red Bull, I think, of Sergio Perez coming into the final sector. Don't know if he's going to start a lap or not. No, he's coming into the pits. I think it's Sergio Perez. Yeah, it is. It's Sergio Perez, as Leclerc is still out on track. Carlos Sainz has just come out for an outlap, so hopefully we'll see an improvement from him. There's a big gap for him to slot himself into, which would be, obviously, between Leclerc and Perez of 0.4 of a second. So you would hope that Sainz would go second as he comes into the final sector now. There's Carlos Sainz on his outlap, and yet Sainz out to wind up for a lap as he backs off a lot before Anthony Nogues, and now lets go of it and begins his lap. Currently 0.6 of a second slower than Leclerc in this session, and locks up and goes straight on. So yeah, lap already blown. One thing I was going to say quickly before we get to the rest of this session is, for anyone new watching, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this, because I will be live later today in 2 hours from now at 2:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch along for the Monaco Grand Prix. So don't forget to come along to that stream and join me for that. Again, bottom right of the screen, you can subscribe right there. And as well, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget as well to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. As Leclerc now comes into the pits. Most people are in the pits now. All of the top 10 are in the pits except Perez and Sainz. Sainz, I assume, will come back in. Yeah, a lot of people now coming into the pits, and Sky now go for an ad break. So I think I'm going to quickly blow my nose again, and then I'll come back. So just give me a few seconds. There you go. Let's just have a look at the chat to see what you guys are saying. Elmaine Wade says Ferrari must give Leclerc a reliable car as well. Yeah, absolutely. Can't really read out that username because it's lots of letters and, you know, numbers and all that. But they say really want to see Sainz and no, not Sainz and he says he really wants to see Sainz put together a complete weekend. Podium for him would be amazing. I don't think it'd be amazing if he got a podium, but it depends on if he's going to have an amazing weekend. It depends on like how he gets the podium. But I think really, considering the pace of the Ferrari car we've seen so far this weekend and that we expected, if Leclerc is on pole, which I think is to be expected, if Carlos can get second and then hold off the two Red Bulls, that would be a phenomenal job for the team, his teammate, and, being part of a Ferrari 1-2 in Monaco would definitely boost his confidence. So, yeah, we'll see. Vinster says, thanks for being here, guys. Missed you during the Miami race. I was there and it was a great time. I was thinking about all of you during the weekend. Thank you for that. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Hopefully you have a bank account still after that weekend, because I know tickets were at an extortionate price. Dylan Forrestal says, Checo has been significantly closer to Max in quali than I thought he would be this season. Yeah, me too. I mean, to out-qualify Max in Jeddah was amazing, but not just that, but to get pole position was amazing. Absolutely incredible. But credit to Sergio. I think this season he has really showed what I've been going on about pretty much since I started a channel back in 2016. Obviously I had an old channel that was of the same name but with a different type of uppercase, lowercase, that type of thing. I've been banging on about how good Sergio Perez is for 6 years, and thankfully, finally, people are getting to see what I've been saying for so long. Sergio Perez is one of the top 10 best drivers in Formula 1, and has been consistently for like 8-9 years, and he's showing that this season. He is a very good driver, and when he retires, people will look back fondly, I think, it's Sergio Perez, and we'll look back in a way where they say, you know what, he had a great career considering what what cars he raced in, and what he went through. Right, let me just see if there's any news on Twitter quickly before they come back from ad break. And apparently McLaren broke the curfew yesterday to get repairs done on Ricciardo's car. According to information from Automotor and Sport, they did not have to change the monocoque, which is good. So, yeah, that's some news for you guys as they come back now from the ad break, and we are now looking on board from Lando Norris in the McLaren, who is now down to 7th for some reason. I've not seen who is pushed him down, but as soon as I see, I'll make sure to update my order. But Norris currently on an improved lap. He's improved his first sector, as we're looking at a visor cam of Norris in Monaco. Now into the tunnel he goes. It says on his delta that he's about 0.6 of a second up on this lap so far, so this will be a big improvement for Lando. Oh, slightly wide there, I think he was, on the exit of the Nouvelle chicane. He's only almost 0.3 of a second behind Leclerc after 2 sectors. This is a very good lap. This might see him go up to 3rd or 4th place as he comes through Rascasse, now into Anthony Nogues, and Norris now to the line and goes 3rd. Fantastic lap there for Lando. And he has been pretty much best of the rest after the Red Bull and Ferrari drivers this weekend. And after his brilliant weekend last year, 5th in qualifying, 3rd in the race, looks as though he's heading for, hopefully from McLaren's point of view, something similar. As now we are looking at Kevin Magnussen, as the driver that has pushed his way up the order is Yuki Tsunoda, who is now up to 6th and ahead of teammate Gasly. So look at that, Tsunoda looking very good. The Tsunoda 6th, Gasly 7th, and then Russell, Magnussen, Bottas, your top 10. And then Albon is up to 11th in the Williams. Kevin Magnussen improves to 5th place in the Haas. Mick Schumacher goes 9th. That's pretty much where Mick needs to be aiming for in qualifying later. So your top 10 with 20 minutes to go is Leclerc, Perez, Norris, Verstappen, Magnussen, Sainz, and then Tsunoda, Gasly, Schumacher, Russell. And then it's Bottas, Albon, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Alonso, Zhou, Vettel, Ocon, Stroll, Latifi. Ocon's still very poor. I don't understand why. I know he said yesterday they were trying out different setups, but he's still just not showing any speed. As Nicholas Latifi now shows some speed and goes 16th. And now here's Alex Albon again, who is in P12. Can he improve? And, oh yes he can. He goes up to 8th, does Alex Albon. Fantastic effort from the Williams driver. And less than a second off Charles Leclerc in 1st place. Albon definitely has been one of the drivers of the season, as Gasly only 2/10 off Leclerc after 2 sectors. The Gasly on for a very good lap here, as Ricciardo is up to 10th in the McLaren, and Gasly could be going up to 2nd place here as he comes to the line, and Gasly goes 3rd in the AlphaTauri. So Gasly up to 3rd. And only 0.3 of a second off Leclerc, as a Haas car going up the hill there, and Gasly letting him through. But yeah, Pierre looking great, and as I'll get into later in my qualifying build-up, he has always been great here in Monaco and served that team. But Gasly and Norris seem to me to be the two best of the rest drivers again after those top 2 teams, as we're now looking at Kevin Magnussen on the ragged edge. He's done an improved 1st sector and a good middle sector as well, only a 1/4 of a second down on Charles Leclerc. This will probably see him gain a position up to 5th, I would imagine. Slight traffic ahead, but doesn't affect him too much. He'll get a slight slipstream up to the line, and Magnussen, not sure if he improved that lap or not, but he stays in 6th place. But Magnussen also, look out for him in qualifying later, as here is now a McLaren of Lando Norris down to the Nouvelle Chicane, pushing very hard in the McLaren. He's not done a personal best 1st sector, but it's about the middle and final sector, really, this track. And the middle sector, not an improvement either. Yeah, he's not going to improve on this lap. He's about 0.3 off the pace of what he has done so far. And yeah, Norris will come to the line and probably do a 1:13.5 or something like that. And comes to the line and, does an even slower lap time than that at 13.6, almost 13.7 there. There's a Red Bull there, held up a bit. Quite a bit by the Alfa Romeo, and if he was on a lap, that Red Bull, which would be Max Verstappen, then he'll be pretty angry with that. And yeah, he was on a lap. That's pretty poor from the Alfa Romeo there to be hovering on the apex like that, and I'm sure Max will be complaining. Probably not the driver's fault, it's probably just the team's fault not giving him the proper information. As Pierre Gasly is on another timed run, and he's improved his 1st sector, but his middle sector is slower than his personal best. But this still could be an improvement on his lap, as 2 bites of the cherry into the Rascasse, and comes to the line and does not improve his time. Goes about a 10.5 slower than his personal best. As Mick Schumacher goes up to 9th. Valtteri Bottas goes up to 10th. Lance Stroll has just gone up to 15th place. One team we need to see, really, is Mercedes. Where is their pace? They are 1.3 and 1.6 seconds off the pace right now and are in 13th and 14th place. This is looking quite bad for them. And even if they go out again and do another lap, I'm not so sure that they will, they would go up to a 4th or 5th place. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 1, probably for someone else going deep. And it's now a green flag, so I assume it was indeed that. As we're just looking at Charles Leclerc, and quite a bit of cars backing up now into the final corner. Sebastian Vettel looks as though he's now going to finally do a soft tyre run because he's in 19th and his best time so far of a 1 minute 14.9, I think it is. His best time is on the medium compound, so see what he can do. As Max Verstappen is on a new timed lap in the Red Bull. He's just coming through the tunnel now. And also a Ferrari of Charles Leclerc on a new timed lap. As Verstappen coming to the back now. And looking pretty good through there. Pushing pretty hard at this point. And yeah, that was a very nice run from Verstappen through the swimming pool section. Really pushing through there. And now, oh no, they've cut away. That's annoying. What is it like to have seen the completion of that lap? As we cut back to Charles Leclerc. Verstappen goes second on a 1:13.2. Still though, 0.3 of a second slower than Leclerc, who is easily the class of the field. As Sebastian Vettel improves up to 11th place. That's a good lap from Seb. As Charles Leclerc comes to the line, but doesn't go any quicker. He did do a purple middle sector though, so there is still potential for him to go even quicker. As a turn 3 incident involving Sainz and Vettel noted for impeding. As here is a Mercedes now of Lewis Hamilton, who's now heading down to the Nouvelle Chicane. And light rear end stability on exit, but that's fine enough. And let's see what he's doing for the middle sector. 0.75 of a second off. He's about half a second slower than the Gasly and Norris in that middle sector. That is a lot of time that he is losing. As Hamilton now rounds the final corner. And Lewis Hamilton up to the line. 14th only. As Russell actually improves up to 7th place. But Lewis Hamilton is, I think, heading for a Q2 exit with the way things are looking. As Carlos Sainz is on an improved run. Purple first sector. 200ths up on Leclerc in the middle sector, even though it's not a purple middle sector. Let's see what Carlos does. Into the final corner. And Carlos Sainz to the line. Does he go fastest? Yes, he does, by 0.04 of a second. So Carlos Sainz is quickest and Ferrari clearly out front with a 1-2. And you have to say, going into practice, unless Red Bull can show something, Red Bull look to be clearly on the back foot. So it is Sainz leading from Leclerc second. Verstappen third, Perez fourth, and then Gasly, Norris, Magnussen in 7th, and then Russell 8th, Tsunoda 9th, and Schumacher 10th. That is your top 10, with Vettel up in 11th, Bottas 12th, Albon 13th, Hamilton 14th, Ricciardo 15th, and then Stroll, Alonso, Zhou, Latifi, Ocon. Alpine, hopefully, will show a bit more pace in the final 10 minutes as Verstappen comes to the line and goes second. That is a lot better from Red Bull. Only, 0.03 of a second behind Sainz and splitting the two Ferraris. That is a lot more like it from Max and Red Bull. Here's Lance Stroll. Oh, Stroll, and he does hit the barriers as well. Exit the swimming pool. He bumps over the sausage curb. Thankfully for him, though, he doesn't break his suspension. Well, he probably has, but he didn't break it to the point where he crashed and was, in the barriers at that point, because that would have caused a certain red flag. As Sergio Perez improves to P1, so maybe Red Bull do have the pace for qualifying, as Perez, yet again, quicker than Verstappen. And once again, right up there for Red Bull. And this time is P1 on a 1 minute 12.7. But we do have to remember that Ferrari, their best time from yesterday of Charles Leclerc was a 1 minute 12.6. So Ferrari can go quicker in this session. We do have 9.5 minutes to go. As Lewis Hamilton we're looking at. And yeah, 14th and 1.2 seconds off the pace. If he finishes, in 14th in qualifying, then his mood will go straight back to basically what it was like in Imola. As Alonso, thankfully, improves up to 9th in the Alpine. As Lewis Hamilton looks as though he's winding up for another lap. And here we go. Here is a Ferrari of Charles Leclerc on a new timed run. And he's done a purple first sector. Great run through the Lowe's hairpin. And now he comes to the tunnel. His purple first sector has been beaten by Max Verstappen, who is on another timed run as well. As Leclerc, brilliant run there through the Nouvelle chicane. Now into the middle sector. And Leclerc, a 10.5 up on Perez, looking very good. And gets to as close as the barriers as you dare. And would have been distracted there slightly by the Alfa Romeo. But thankfully the Alfa Romeo just about got out of the way. As Leclerc exits the final corner. And surely will go P1. And he does by 3/4 of a tenth. His final sector, though, was slower than his personal best, which was probably for the Alfa Romeo, so he can go quicker. Max Verstappen does not improve his lap and stays in 4th place. It's Leclerc from Perez, Sainz and Verstappen, your top 4. With 7.5 minutes to go, pretty much, in practice 3, in this final practice session. And now we're looking at an Alpine just coming down to Mirabeau, but now they've cut back to the Red Bull garage. And yeah, it is very interesting. Sergio Perez ahead of Verstappen. He finished ahead of Verstappen in practice 1, practice 2, and at the moment in practice 3. Russell on team radio just saying, crikey, that was very dangerous by Checo. Almost crashed into the back of him. We've not seen a replay of any incidents about that. Here's a replay from Lance Stroll's onboard of the hit with the barriers, and he went wide, then clumped over the sausage curb, and then hit the barrier. And yeah, definitely broke his car. Hopefully, he has not broken the chassis in any way, cracked it, because if he has, then he won't be able to participate in qualifying. Then again, if he doesn't participate, it's not like he's going to be up in the top 10, because Aston Martin simply have not got the pace for that, as Fernando Alonso completes a lap, but goes a lot slower than his personal best. As he now continues on. Now we look at a Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, who has done an improved middle sector. And let's see if he can improve on 15th place. And he does. He goes up to 7th. That is a lot more like it. A 113.3. And 7/10 of a second off. As Perez does a purple middle sector. Only a 1/4 of a tenth behind Leclerc after 2 sectors. As Perez rounds the final corner now. Can he go quickest in the Red Bull? Driving very well, Sergio. To the line he comes. And yes, he goes quickest by 1/10.5. A brilliant final sector where Red Bull have been struggling. And Russell now comes to the line. He's in 9th, but does not improve his time. So your top 10 with 5 minutes to go is Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Gasly, Norris, Hamilton, Magnussen, Russell, Alonso. A very high quality top 10 there. As Sainz is on a new timed run. He's done a personal best middle sector. And he's 0.3 of a second off the pace at the moment. Let's see where he goes now as he comes to the line. And he does not improve. He goes about 0.02 of a second slower than his personal best. So he stays in 3rd as Charles Leclerc is on an outlap. So I'm assuming Leclerc has one final go to get P1 in this session. Leclerc had P1 in practice 1 and practice 2. Can he do it in practice 3 as well? We'll see in a moment. But we're just now looking at an Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel has been in the top 10 in every qualifying session in his career in F1 except for 1 year, which was 2008, where he was racing, of course, for Toro Rosso. It's a great track for him, but I'm not sure whether this Aston Martin car, is allowing him to maybe continue that record. We'll see, of course, in a couple hours as he comes to the line on a new lap. And Vettel does not improve his lap. Goes about 0.2 of a second slower. Now here's Verstappen. And don't know what his middle sector is, but he's pushing really hard. Is Verstappen. He'll be very angry probably at this point that he's again behind his teammate. When have you seen Verstappen consistently behind his teammate in practice? I can't remember it happening for a long, long time. As Verstappen comes to the line and doesn't go any quicker. So Max, I don't think Max really can go any quicker. As Leclerc has done a purple middle sector. Now exits the swimming pool. Can Leclerc end practice 3 on top in front of the home crowd? Into the final corner. And let's see as he comes to the line. And will he get it? Yes, he will by 3, almost 0.04 of a second. Charles Leclerc is back up to 1st place. So it's Leclerc from Perez, Sainz and Verstappen. That was your same top 4 in practice 1. And it's currently the same in practice 3 with 2.5 minutes to go. As Perez, they're just showing the fastest sectors. Perez, the quickest in sector 1 and sector 3. Sector 2 belonging to the Monegasque. And, well, Gasly, Norris, Magnussen, Schumacher, Vettel, Bottas, Albon, Stroll, Zhou and Latifi are all in the pit, so I don't think they'll be coming out again to do another lap, really. So, we'll see what any of the other drivers who are on track, whether a final lap can be done. Because, of course, this is the final 2 minutes before the biggest qualifying session of the season. As Leclerc is just following, I think his teammate, or no, Sainz is following his teammate here through the lap. Don't know if Sainz is going to be completing another lap here. We'll have to see. Here's a Mercedes though on a one final lap, which is Lewis Hamilton in 7th place. And Mercedes have a fight on their hands if they want to finish at the front of the midfield pack, which they're definitely stuck in this weekend, as his first sector is not a personal best. Neither is his middle sector. But if he has a very good final sector, might be able to improve on his lap time, but probably not his position. As Perez is on a final run, he's not improved his first sector either, though. as Hamilton to the line. And no, almost 0.4 of a second slower than his previous best. As Perez, 1,000th of a second quicker than Leclerc through the lap so far. As Verstappen, again, pushing on another lap, but he's not improving on this lap, just like the lap or two before. As Sergio Perez will come to the line, and Perez does go quickest by almost 0.5 tenth. So Perez on top. Verstappen, again, doesn't improve his lap time and stays in 4th. Here is Charles Leclerc, I believe. It is. Don't know if he's improving on his personal best. No, he's not in the first and second sector. But can he have a good final sector to get P1? Exits the final corner. And Leclerc to the line. No, he's miles off. 0.7 of a second. So Leclerc will finish in second place. And Sergio Perez is on top here in practice 3. Unless Carlos Sainz is on a final timed lap. Which I don't know. Sainz has already met the checkered flag. So Sergio Perez will end practice 3 on top. So there you go, guys. That is practice 3. And before I come to the end here, just going to quickly read out the final finishing order. So Sergio Perez has ended up quickest. That definitely puts the cat amongst the pigeons for qualifying. Charles Leclerc 2nd, Carlos Sainz 3rd, Max Verstappen 4th, and then it is Gasly 5th, Norris 6th, Hamilton 7th, Magnussen 8th, Russell 9th, and Alonso in 10th, if my throat won't cut out. And then the rest of the order is Tsunoda, Schumacher, Vettel, Bottas, Albon, Ricciardo, Ocon, Stroll, Zhou, and Latifi. Got to say, Alfa Romeo look very, very disappointing this weekend. Hopefully improve in qualifying. But guys, that is it for practice 3. Don't forget to join me in an hour and a half from now for, again, the most important and exciting qualifying session of the season. Qualifying for the Monaco Grand Prix. Like I said, I'll be live in an hour and a half from now at 2:30 p.m. UK time. So don't forget to come along to that. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. And as well, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. And don't forget to join my Discord server, link below in the description for more content like this. But guys, until my qualifying watch along in about 90 minutes from now, it has been me, ChazHD. Goodbye.